Welcome, reanimated fans, to this week's podcast. I'm H.A. Conrad, coming to you from Brooklyn, here with my intrepid co-host, as always, Stuart Tiffin. Hello, Stuart.
Hello, HA. Hello.
Hello. We took a brief hiatus due to some technical issues, but we're back, and we're back strong. We're going to be talking about a couple of episodes of Revival, episodes 8 and 9, and also have oddly quite a few news items. More that came out last week, but just a couple that, just hit the papers this week. So I have not seen this, but the Star Trek did an episode that basically um references Ken Foree, and I really loved how they did it. It was very like tongue in cheek. And so that's like a planet named after him, and they make a couple of references. I am excited to see this, but it looks very saturated, and so when Stuart and I were talking about this, it definitely has some reminiscences um from the like kind of like fake drama that they have in the Murderbot series.
Oh
So
yeah, it's big Sanctuary Moon vibes in the color palette. Whenever it shows up, I'm looking like at Paramount Plus or whatever, and I see Strange New Worlds pop up. I'm like, oh well, it's double take to make sure I'm not looking at at Sanctuary Moon because it's very colorful.
I mean, do you think it's an attempt, which it kind of maybe feels like, to do the retro thing from the original Star Trek? Because that's what it kind of feels like it's doing, but it's almost even more.
It's like
Oh,
neon, yeah, it's so bright.
yeah, it's like a very bright palette. But I haven't seen it yet. Have you seen this, Stuart?
No, I'm still working my way through Enterprise, and as I've mentioned to you previously, HA, I'm just like shocked at how dark this season three
Yeah.
has gotten. And there was a zombie episode in season three of Enterprise where the whole ship full of Vulcans got turned into effectively into zombies. So I like the fact that Star Trek has, I think, a decent tradition of doing zombie episodes, and this is another one now on Strange New Worlds. And Ken Foree, if for those who don't know, is the actor who played Peter Washington on Dawn of the Dead, the movie from 1978, I want to say.
Yes, and he's very happy about this development. So I thought that was pretty cute. So I'm gonna definitely put this on my list. I've been meaning to watch it, and I just have to do it. I've just been distracted with other things, mainly Department Q, that has taken up some of my time. But
Nice.
now I will head into this. This looks exciting.
My
Yes.
wife and I are still working our way through Andor season two, which is absurd because it's I think it finished a while ago, but it's such a good show. It's worth like taking your time over, I think.
I have not delved into that either. So I have a lot on my list.
Oh yeah. Stock it up. Still, crossing my fingers for the inevitable Star Wars zombie show that
Yeah.
might one day come. So that's Ken Foree and Star Trek news. Also, My Daughter is a Zombie has been blowing up in box offices, not literally, but big numbers in Korea.
This little movie has been basically dominating the Korean box office. It really has kind of just been, taken hold. It surpassed the premiere of Mission Impossible in Korea, and it also surpassed Mickey 17, because this is like that was Bong Joon-ho's movie, and and so I think it was like one of the highest opening weekends for a film. It also surpassed F1, their premiere. So it's interesting that it did so because it's really a story about a father who's super devoted to his daughter. This is based on a webtoon that came out, which I actually started reading, and it's kind of cute and fun. And the basically the daughter is sort of the last infected, and he's kind of hiding her from everybody. The premise of it is that he's like an animal trainer, so I guess knows some tactics for helping her. And one thing that I think is funny that everything keeps mentioning is that there's like a cat featured in it, and the cat is featured in the webtoon as well, and so the cat gets apparently pretty good reviews. So I'm really excited to see this. I don't know on what platform we'll be able to see it anytime soon, but I have a feeling it would probably come to streaming sooner rather than later. I'm wondering when, but we will keep everybody posted
You
on that.
never really know with these imports, but yeah, well,
Right.
hopefully we will. An interesting point, you mentioned F1, and there's another headline that came out in the last week because F1 has also been huge. It's now surpassed 540 million dollars, which is Brad Pitt's highest grossing film
Hmm.
since World War Z.
Interesting.
So there, that's the zombie connection is that Brad Pitt, but that just that fact or saying that out loud that that's his second highest grossing film, but it's been his highest grossing film for probably 12 years or something, and that they could not pull together a sequel is still mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Um, but yeah, I'm very curious. Maybe someday it'll happen. Maybe
Eh,
some.
I'm over it. I don't really need one now. At this point, better to leave it. Sleeping dogs lie, etc. But yeah, but so my daughter's a zombie doing really well in South Korea. Hopefully we'll get to have it come over here and we can enjoy it too. And otherwise we've got there's like a lot of zombie content coming out this fall. There's a bit of a listicle of summarizing all of these on CGM. What is that? CGMA CG
I
Mag?
don't know. I don't know.
So Marvel Zombies is coming in October. Daryl Dixon season 3 is coming in September. Return of the Living Dead's coming around Christmas time. Twilight of the Dead is gonna be showing up with Mila Jovovich. Forget when that's supposed to be happening, but I think also in the fourth quarter of this year. And Queens of the Dead also has a fall release this year.
Yeah, and then in next year's news, basically, I don't know what's going on with Liam Neeson, but he's really into the kind of dark comedy. He is, I think most people know he's in a remake of The Naked Gun,
Which is
and
getting really good reviews, seems
yeah, which is
like.
getting great views.
And apparently now he's dating Pamela Anderson, which I am mixed about, but okay.
I'm also mixed, but if people are happy, let them be happy.
Exactly.
There's a trailer that just came out for a zombie or contagion. It seems more contagion, but they're saying zombie. Film that's supposed to come out in 2026, and it's called Cold Storage. And did you watch the trailer?
Yeah.
So it's interesting because I don't know when in 2026 it's coming out, but
No.
it really it was written by the same like I think it's like Jurassic Park, Mission Impossible, Spider-Man, and they all put this in the trailer. So it's like, okay, they really want you to pay attention to that. And then I don't know, it felt I don't know. It showed an awful lot in the trailer, and I always worry a little bit about that. So
Yeah, you should.
are they almost showing the whole film, and it kind of feels like it.
Yeah.
Um, so essentially, the premise is that there's some kind of uh, fungus or bacterial contagion that makes people's heads explode. There's definitely some Liam Neeson action, but not a lot of it, which it's kind of interesting that they keep saying that this is like his movie or whatever. But
Well,
uh,
the lead, Joe Keery and Georgina Campbell, she is, I'm not so sure who she is, but he's from Stranger Things, very familiar looking guy.
yeah,
So it's not like they don't have a lead, and he is going to be playing Liam Neeson's son based on the interactions they had in the trailer. And so,
right.
yeah, so far all we have is Liam Neeson talking to him on the phone,
Right.
and I'm sure he'll show up at some point.
Yeah. But anyway, we'll have to keep you updated about when this is coming out exactly. Apparently, it's based on a novel that came out in 2019. And so I have not watched it, but we will more to come on this, I am sure, given that this coming out so early. I'm wondering if it's like an early release in 2026, like maybe January. So we shall see. And
January is not like the most common month to release this sort of stuff.
February. We'll see. Oh
Yeah,
no. Yeah, I don't know. So we'll see. We'll have to keep
we will. We'll
an eye
keep
on
our nose to the ground or whatever the
that.
idiom is, ear to the grindstone.
Ah,
Uh, looking forward to it no matter what. And maybe one of these days we'll get to see We Bury the Dead or whatever the hell the uh what's the name of that lady? From Rey from Star Wars. What's her movie?
Oh yeah, it's something like that. I don't know, but
Yeah, I
well,
think it's We Bury the Dead, set in Tanzania. Yeah, yeah, not Tanzania, Tasmania. Golly,
Tasmania, Tasmania.
just switch continents on it there. That's supposed to be that was doing some festivals though earlier this year, and then I haven't seen it again.
Right.
It'll probably just pop up on a streamer, disappointingly.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. With that, I think we have a lot to get through in terms of our revival coverage. Lots going on in these episodes, these next two episodes, A Rose and a Thorn and the Mother of Babylon. So, are you ready to dive in?
Let's do it. This show continues to be quite busy with its multiple plot lines
Yep.
and millions of police officers who are characters with written dialogue.
Yep.
Yeah, so this one starts with a flashback, and we get some of this backstory because they've been talking about this Black Deer case a fair amount. It's one of Dana's like great failures of her career, she feels like, based on what we knew before this episode. And so in this episode, it starts 2 years before the events of the current day in the show. And there's M and her mom, who I don't think we've seen before on screen,
No.
talking about going to college and courage and stuff like this, and dad and what a jerk he is. And then we also see Jesse Blackdeer talking to his daughter Rose at this bowling alley where they just happen to all be there. Rose works there, and she is planning to leave town, and he is trying to persuade her not to. And so this establishes the tension between this father and daughter.
Right, but it's a little bit more complicated because apparently the land grant is in Rose's name. So if she leaves, it actually reverts to the government outside of the tribe, it sounds like. And we did see M's mom before, didn't we see her in the birth of the flashback birth of M, right?
Well, maybe
So
I'd forgotten about that.
yeah. So anyway, but we see a lot more of Rose in this, and we also see a little bit, it's filling in some blanks just in terms of the whole dynamic with Jesse Blackdeer, and essentially, it's also this kind of interesting parallel between Rose and Dana. Like Rose is really looking to get out of the town. She doesn't want to be stuck there. She's also got that tension with her father the same way that Dana has. So there's like a lot of parallels in that specific story. There's also an idea about Wausau being this sort of difficult place to live and difficult place to do new things. It feels very stifling to younger people. And so in this case, Rose is really looking to spread her wings, and she knows it's going to be a challenge. But there's like another thing that she has not revealed, which is that, you know, her girlfriend is May, and this is the investigative reporter that we've seen all along, and that explains a little bit more of her involvement in everything. And there's also some things that are revealed in this that. Um, I'm not too sure about, and I'm not sure how I feel about them, but they bring Blaine into the mix, and he supposedly had this relationship or dynamic with Rose that I found a little bit weird.
It's weird all the way through, man. We haven't
Yeah.
even gotten to the end of the story, but the way it's going, I'm like, wait, was this a platonic friendship for real?
Yeah, it just seemed a little bit strange. And you know, like and it kind of like plants all these things, and this is all about the Rose Black Deer disappearance. Um, but it also fills in a lot of things that we have seen sort of in present day. So, that were just kind of weird. So, and then the tension and the like part that Dana played in the investigation. So and some of the things that are going on with her father. So I felt like this whole episode was a little bit of filling in the blanks, and it's a little bit of an aha about a lot of things. But essentially, when Rose Blackdeer disappears, um, the whole town is up in arms, and the focus is on Jesse. and seems to be a lot of pressure to find anybody who is responsible for her disappearance. Um, I guess if you're thinking about it in terms of just like a general um trope, the fact that there was this land and that, if Rose left, like that Jesse would lose it, that's certainly motive, but um it does feel like they are really digging for things. They keep it like looking into his house, and
Yeah,
I
the
think,
second search feels
yeah.
super, and the fact that they do that without Dana even getting to go along,
Yeah,
so it feels like they definitely like set it up for her to feel all this guilt, but not actually have done anything wrong. Maybe
right,
she, maybe she wasn't able to, so it feels like she didn't have time to do the investigations because she's literally at Blaine's garage questioning him when when the second search happens, and now suddenly they're arresting Jesse because they found this
right.
planted evidence.
Yeah, and it all felt very convenient, and it does feel like she's very much railroaded, just because like her dad, like everybody's sort of like, oh, that it's him, and she's like, no, I don't think he actually did it, and she's the only voice that keeps saying that. So it's really um she's always in this like kind of difficult position where she's kind of bringing the news that people don't want to hear. And she does believe in Jesse's innocence, and that leads to a bunch of different things, which, essentially Jesse escapes and she's responsible for letting him escape.
Oh,
And
well, first he escapes because he
responsible.
seems to overwhelm McCrae during a prison transport, which
Yeah.
is just interesting that McCrae is the guy. But they don't seem to be going anywhere with that. But he's the one who Jesse has escaped from initially. Brent Porter is very commonly present in this episode too, like giving people advice and even when he's not there, he's like telling Wayne to do another search of Jesse Blackdeer's property because of course he would. But he's also just the same affable, friendly Brent Porter, to,
Hmm.
showing Dana how to get candy bars out of the vending machine. You know, just I think they do a really good job with his character because he never feels evil, not even once. Like even when he's shooting Jesse Blackdeer, he's not talking, and I think if he had said anything, he would have felt like he was being a nice guy about it somehow. So
Right.
I do
Well,
like the way they do that.
we also give a little bit of context for why he might have done things, because his
Oh
mother
yeah. I mean,
been
it's
very
so
sick.
telegraphed. He's like, "Oh, my mom's sick and
Yeah.
my salary here doesn't help." I'm like, that I feel like is grounds for HR to get involved because cops shouldn't be going around saying that they need money
Yep.
for because that's pretty damning stuff.
Yeah,
Talk
but
about your motives.
it is kind of cool to watch this knowing this stuff about him, because you're kind of looking for it. But yeah, you can absolutely see why nobody ever suspected him. Like he's just kind of doing his thing, being that nice guy.
He's
Um,
being so nice, but he's clearly in such a pickle
yep,
here that like it makes me wonder why nobody was looking at him
at
for
all.
anything wrong when maybe his mom is not in such hot water anymore with her illness, but nobody's questioning it.
But she was put in a facility, and he had not had the money to do that before, so there you go. Um, there's also the whole like, I mean, clearly he's the one who planted the evidence, but when Rose goes to see, like there's the whole lead up to Jesse's death, and Rose goes to watch his cremation. I still have a slight
You mean May Tao goes to watch
sorry,
his
May
cremation?
does.
Yeah.
May goes to watch his cremation. I still have questions about how, like, maybe he was revived just after his body started burning, because
Yeah, that's why his scars are still
yeah,
there.
and it's just weird. But anyway, um that is actually kind of an interesting thing, that this is a continuation of this murder mystery that had started way back before or not way back, but just before the revival day. And so,
I mean, May must be feeling pretty bad about herself. Like in the intervening time between the end of this episode and the beginning of the timeline of the show as we got to start it, she basically lost her girlfriend and then told her girlfriend's dad her suspicions about what had happened, and then he gets killed.
Right.
And then, and that's I guess 2 days before the show begins because that's just that's when that happens apparently.
Well, right. And it's also pretty terrifying since everybody who knows anything about this is dead. And then once again, she's pretty brave for trying to tell Dana because, you know, it's not a great track record. So, um,
She's kind of more of a linchpin of this story than I had realized until this episode and the next one. Like you don't, well, there's no reason for you to suspect that she is a big part of this story, but
nope.
they certainly made her a big part of the story. And in the next episode we're talking about today, Dana's like, "You're a better investigator than most of these cops, so please look into this." And then she delivers,
Mhm.
like two scenes later. So she honestly is quite capable. It's funny, and it's an interesting way to put together a story arc.
Mhm.
But I mean, long story short, yeah, this episode reveals that Brent Porter also killed Jesse Blackdeer. Jesse Blackdeer was on the search for the killers of his daughter and was felt like he had been hard done by the police. Clearly, he had been. They planted evidence and gotten him arrested under false pretenses. That he wasn't that happy with Dana, but because she let him go when they encountered each other in the woods, I think he was basically cool with her again.
Yep.
That's kind of where we land. Uh, and otherwise, there are a couple of well, it's not funny, but there's a couple of scenes of people walking into the police station and yelling in this episode. It's one of these the most police stations I feel like have a room with bulletproof glass and like really impossible to open doors in the lobby. But theirs is apparently just like a open space cubicle land where people can just walk in and be like, "I'm looking for Officer Cypress." There she is. And then Maytal walks in and goes, "You're all corrupt. This is a
Yep.
hotbed of corruption." I'm like, why isn't there a better door on this police station? This is absurd.
No kidding. And the other thing that just given this episode, and maybe there's more to it, and next episode actually, we're seeing more and more with the revivers that there's possibly something in that is unresolved for them, which may be why they're coming back. I'm not sure about Jordan because I don't know what the resolution was there before the alien light creature took her away, other than people were kind to her. But at least for in this case, we basically get to a resolution in terms of where Rose is and where her body is. And that's been the underlying like um that has been Jesse's goal, this unsolved mystery. Maybe it
Yeah,
and
I mean, all he really solves is where the body is. He doesn't solve why she was killed,
he
who killed
doesn't.
her, even. I mean,
Mm,
well, I guess everybody suspects that it's Blaine because she's found in a car on Blaine's lot.
mm.
You might jump to that conclusion, but he doesn't know that before he gets summoned to his golden shower or whatever we're calling this. I don't think that's what
Yeah,
they want us
I
to call it.
gross. Um, but yeah, but at least I mean needs to know where Rose is, and so there's that kind of thing. But there's definitely something that's unresolved there. And then with M, we later find out that there's just so much more related. They've been hinting at this all along, but she very much feels responsible for her mother's death. And I don't know about the other characters, but I do suspect, oh, and there's one other one, and I don't want to spoil it yet, but the mayor's wife. But so there's things that maybe they're regretting, maybe things that they need to try to resolve. So, that's an interesting little piece. Um, but I think for Jesse, the fact that he just finds her and that is resolved puts him at peace to some extent. But
Yeah,
um, it's interesting that um that after all this time he ends up finding her in the trunk, and then that it's kind of
that's the trigger. That is
yeah,
an interesting idea. We'll have to see if it plays out. There's a lot of revivers.
there is.
Maybe Diane's guilt is about how she cheated on her husband. M's is clearly about how she feels about her mom's accident. Jordan, like you said, hard to say. But then there's Rhodey. We don't even know enough about his backstory. Like, so we'll see if it plays out. That's an interesting semi prediction for how this might go. Every time another quadrupedal alien pops out of a creek bed, maybe it's there to solve a problem.
Yep. Um, and then, we have like a little bit of dynamics, like some dynamics between Dana and Em and the Black Deers. One thing that is interesting is that you know our good doctor was just left like kind of unconscious, and they're
Dude,
like,
that's such a, I mean, we've talked about this, but that's such a rough deal.
"It
And
is
M's just like, yeah, it just wasn't in the cards for him to come with us.
right."
And
And now
and
I'm
what
like,
happens to him isn't just like death by exposure, which is
"Oh,
a very real outcome also. No, he gets abducted by the gosh darn cultists.
I know." And poor Ibrahim, he's like, just, and it's a pretty rough go. I'm like feeling really bad for him in the next episode.
Yeah, that is in the next one because in this one also at first I thought M and May were getting shipped, but obviously I don't think M's into girls I don't know. But either way, they what they talk about is, their poetry, M's poetry and love, and May is like, "Oh, did you ever love anybody?" And M's like, "Yeah, I do. I kind of think I did." And then she immediately goes inside and calls Rhodey, who is like, "Oh yeah, I'm getting out of town. Come and see me."
And I don't think they've done a great job at building up that relationship and why she would even think that. They've had some moments, but just not enough to really establish love per se. I also thought they were shipping Em and May. Maybe they still are, we'll see. Um,
I mean, honestly, I think there's no chance of Rhodey and M
I know.
patching this up. I mean, maybe
Um,
there are, but once you turn someone over to the Goon Squad, I think your chances are pretty low.
no, absolutely. And now, even more so, I'm like, oh, Rudy, you're just such a loser. Like,
She,
um,
what she does to him in the next episode, we'll
oof.
get there, but oh my gosh, talk about your disappointed ex-girlfriends. But yeah, so he's just like, hey, let's go, let's meet up. They meet. I don't feel like he says very much other than I'm sorry, and then she gets
Yeah,
shot in the neck with a dart and passes out.
yeah.
And that's the end of that episode, and then we begin with the Rose and Thorn, I guess, is a reference to Rose Black Deer, Thorn, I don't know. We also saw during this episode that Aaron, M's old teacher, was the guy who put Rose into the car initially.
Yep. Yep.
So he is also
Heard of it.
complicit in this conspiracy to abduct women or kill women. Not sure what it is yet. Clearly, two of them have been killed, so I guess it's about abducting and killing.
Yep.
And then we begin episode 9, Mother of Babylon, which does get intoned at the end of the episode, that line. Um, and it begins with Ibrahim waking up in
Yeah,
Blaine's
this is such
garage.
a rough scene. Like he's like gagged and he's like
His
hyperventilating.
immediate response on waking up is panic and
Yeah.
yeah, but it quickly just turns into a conversation between Blaine and Ibrahim where he's like, "Hey, you're the doctor who's been looking into what started the revival. Tell me what you know."
Yeah. And again, Andy McQueen hands in such a good performance here. He's really he's so good. He's got some really great acting chops. Like he is just really there he walks the line because like obviously he's physically like hurt and injured, but also terrified because this guy is terrifying and like a cult leader. And even then though he's curious, but he's also um he knows the position he's in, which is in a very vulnerable position. It's not stopping him from um I don't want to say baiting. He wants to find out some answers, but he's being very like deliberate in how he's doing it. Blaine definitely wants answers out of him, and he's not really, he's giving kind of like non-answers or sort of like leading questions. He's kind of answering Blaine's questions with questions to some extent. But also he's definitely defiant, and that's pretty incredible given the fact that he is absolutely incapacitated. He does not know that anybody's on the way to save him. And obviously, he got left by a creek bed, and then these people found him. So he's not
Yeah.
sure what's going to happen next. He's been through the ringer, Ibrahim. So I thought that their dynamic here was pretty funny. Not funny, but like interesting and like um and given the situation, he's pretty brave about it.
Yeah, I think that's part of his character arc is he starts off the season, very nervous, mostly in relation to Dana, but just kind of not as sure of himself as he appears to be in this episode, which I like.
Yep.
It's a good, like you keep saying, it's Andy McQueen does some really good work here.
Yep.
I mean, while he's getting dressed down by Blaine, the cops with Maytow are gearing up to raid Blaine's workshop or garage because they think that he has M. It's not a terrible assumption,
Nope.
but that is not the case. General Kale at it's still funny.
I know it is
She's
funny.
always dressed in her military equivalent of a tuxedo, also,
Yeah,
which is just stupid. So
dumb. It's like you wouldn't be out here doing this in that. You just
no,
wouldn't.
no,
So
she sure
anyway.
wouldn't. But she wants M to be dosed up more, and the other doctor, the quote unquote evil doctor who got promoted over Ibrahim, is actually pushing back, which seems to be the first time we've seen her pushing back or being like humane about anything. So okay, we'll take it. Uh, kind of telegraphs some of the actions that happen later in the episode.
Yeah, and I mean, these are the first cracks we've seen in her shell. Like she'd been very much complicit in all of this nonsense.
Yeah,
So I do wish we knew a little bit more about what turned her because it doesn't seem like there's a specific trigger. She just starts to be
yeah.
like, "Oh, what are we gonna do?" I don't know. It was just
For
kind of
most of the season, she's been fine injecting people,
yeah,
revivers, with drugs to make them like go through extreme pain and discomfort. And now she's like, oh, but this girl M is having a mental breakdown.
right.
And that seems to be enough to make her. Maybe
Yeah.
she's just doesn't feel bad for Miles Miller or whatever his name was because maybe she just doesn't like him.
Yeah, maybe. Um, and Em is definitely having a rough time. She's seen like hallucinating her mother. And her mother is saying all sorts of things, which gives us definitely a little bit of insight
When
into
when her mother first appears, we're under the impression that she was killed in a car accident, and we still are. Nobody's said anything other than that. But it looks like she has bullet wounds.
yes, it does. And it looks like something more is going on. So I don't know if we'll find out more about that
Yeah.
or if it was just poor makeup choices, but it does look more like,
Maybe it was just like, oh, those two dots of blood on her torso. I'm sure it was just where, the car accident happened. But no, it looks like
yeah.
two bullet wounds. But yeah, she's seeing her mom, and at first it's like wholesome, but it gets a little bit grimmer as the episode goes on.
Yeah.
As
And she's, her mother's saying some different things. Um, and they, you know, um, they bring in Rhodey. And I don't even know why Rhodey would feel the need to deal with them at this point, but she is not having it, and she basically breaks his neck. He comes back, of course, but pretty rough. It's not like he doesn't feel pain.
it's
Um,
funny. It's funnier because he can come back from that, but he's like, "Oh God, get me out of here."
yeah,
She's
yeah.
not okay. I mean, she is like sweating and she doesn't look great. Of
Oh,
course, he can't see her mom,
right.
but yeah.
Um,
Uh,
and
Also, the cops have basically arrested Blaine at this point, right?
yeah.
And Ibrahim is poking holes in Wayne and Dana's theory
Mhm.
of Blaine's guilt because Blaine is just saying, like, look, I don't have enough money to hire killers, certainly not for $10,000, which is what Brent Porter got paid.
Yep.
And I didn't have any part in the murders. Rose Blackdeer was my friend, et cetera, et cetera. And you can tell by Dana's expression that she doesn't think that he did it, I think, because
Yeah, and I mean, some about how she enlists May is about the money
yeah.
that's supposedly like tracing it, and it turns out he actually he first donated it to finding Rose's killer, but then when Jesse Blackdear got arrested, that was put into like a fund for Indigenous women's who've gone disappeared, who have disappeared, and um, so her theory on that's like totally like holes in that theory. And he is very much pushing against all of that, and
It's a nice complication for this character that
right,
happens in this episode because until this point, he's just been
evil, pretty
pure
much.
evil, pure Steve Ogg, uh, and definitely creepy. And then you find out like, oh, so he does hate revivers, and he's probably going to try and kill them all for some reason because
Mm,
he is on some level insane. But he gave $50,000 into this account to try and find Rose, and
right.
then donated it to this fund. Like this is a pure good guy energy thing, and I like the fact that they've done that with his character.
Yeah, and also you find out a little bit more about him and maybe why he's a little bit messed up, which is a lot to be dealing with. But essentially, we hear from um, Dana's father that Blaine's father was like basically purporting that Blaine was like a religious, like a maybe a second coming or whatever, claiming that he had stigmata, and you can see the scars on his hands and that he was scamming all these followers out of money and other things. Maybe that's where the money came from. But Blaine is like an actual true believer. He thinks that he is maybe, and he also is has this hate for the revivers, and he thinks that they're evil, that they're coming from the gates of hell, and that's he is been accused of being like, hey, you're just trying to steal money again. You're just like your father. You're just a scammer. But he actually, at least from what we see, believes that he is what his father said he was, which is a little creepy too. But it kind of knocks the legs out from under their whole theory about him.
Yeah.
While it is creepy and disturbing, it's not what they thought it was. So what?
It's just creepy and disturbing in a different way. Yeah.
True. Um, and they eventually are recalibrating, and um, that's an interesting shift that they have to make. So yeah, so that's kind of an interesting turn.
Yeah. And then we jump to in Riverside, which is I think what the name of the Reviver prison is. The mayor, whose name I don't know, has is meeting with his wife. For whatever reason, they're
Oh,
meeting in like
Village.
a what? Oh,
No,
Dillage. Yeah,
Village,
it's
I
sure.
think. Which?
But for whatever reason, they're not in like an interview room. They're in like a warehouse, which, and in the background you can see one of Blaine's cultists mopping and like very clearly stopping to listen to them as they talk about what's going on. She says she's maybe the only reviver not being experimented on, and he reveals that that was part of the deal he made. And then immediately kind of does a 180 when his wife gives him a hard time that he turned over M to the military. And she also reveals that the military is talking about moving them all to another location. And so for whatever reason, Dillich then has a change of heart, one of several during this episode, and runs to the police station to warn them that the revivers are going to be moved.
Right. Um, and and they also like have discovered that Blaine and his culty people have been killing revivers. They see the video that, you know, we have seen before. And it's like so there's lots of super creepy things going on, but it's not necessarily all making sense. Though now with the military involvement and trying to move the revivers, they have to act quickly and come up with a plan, and they do. And I do like how when Dillich and his wife are like kind of talking in the facility, we have our very like our handy cult member who's embedded in there, casually sweeping and listening to them. So so we've got a lot of different elements at play here. Um, and it really is you know, a little bit of a game of cat and mouse and trying to like force the military to move the revivers early so that they can basically rescue them. Um, the good doctor gets involved again. So Ibrahim basically hides in Carla's car to be able to give her the creek water and tells her to inject all the revivers with it. We still don't know exactly what effect that the creek water has, except that it's restorative. And it does look like when some of them get it, that it maybe gives them more power or strength or something.
I mean, if you are referring to the fight inside the back of the truck as giving them strength, like just Rhodey and one other guy fight. The others
I
just all
know.
scream. They all just yell,
They
like, "Get
do.
him!"
It gets weird. But I mean, I guess they've been tortured for a long time with snake venom and other stuff, so maybe this helps them. But it leads to a pretty big confrontation between um, Dana, her father, Dilish, and his wife. And finally, some things are revealed about the night of Patty's death, or the mother of, Mother Cypress's death. And it turns out that the sheriff was having an affair with Dilish's wife. It's interesting that Dilish is even still talking to him, or that there was any kind of dynamic with him. Maybe they made amends, but
They just
um,
had to. Like it was mayor to his chief of police. Like they
I
didn't have a
guess.
lot of options there.
I guess, but this is all big news to Dana.
Yeah.
And, basically he hadn't picked up Patty the night that she died. And if he had done that, Em and Dana wouldn't have had all these like feelings of guilt for all these years. And it really does, it's pretty rough. And at the end, she basically throws out a "it should have been you" thing to the sheriff, classic, right?
Mm.
So they have a lot of things to resolve, but his guilt has probably been driving him in terms of everything he's been doing all along. So his overprotectiveness, his sort of stifling of everything, has been maybe a direct reaction to that.
I don't know. He's so hard on both of his kids.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe that's not the most natural reaction to I was cheating on your mom the night she was killed. I don't
No,
know.
I mean he wants to protect them. He thinks he's protecting them, but like
Maybe.
it's an
Maybe that's what it is.
overreaction maybe. But yeah, there's just like a lot of storylines going on here.
There
And then,
are so many. That's true.
oh, and we forgot one of the most important ones is when M is in having her psychoses and Aaron's wife, Nithya, comes in. And it's kind of weird that they've enlisted her. So I don't know how this little arrangement happened, going from the counseling that she was doing to this. So that was a mystery to me. Did you like that was odd to me that they would bring her in
Look, in a town of 30,000 or whatever Wausau is, they only have room for 100 policemen and one
in
therapist.
one
So
pair?
she's the only one that they could bring in because she's the only one in the quarantine zone.
Yeah, well, anyway, it's a unique situation because obviously Em has some feelings about her, given her affair with Aaron, and her mother's even calling her out on it, the vision of her mother.
Yeah.
And it does, it kind of does bring her out of it, out of her psychoses, but not before she almost shoots the armed guard that
Hey,
has.
that guy owes his life to Nithya right
Yeah,
there.
he does. Yeah, he does. But she's still isolated, and she eventually gets busted out by our little embedded cult member. And so that's kind of like the I is the next episode the last episode?
I hope so. The
Yeah.
more we watch this show, the more I'm like, this is clearly not a zombie show. I
It's
don't know.
not. It's not. And it's a murder mystery show, but it's like it's almost, I mean, there's some interesting storylines, but I almost feel like there's too many going on right now. And really I felt it in these last two episodes more so. And I think it's in an effort to keep things moving and sort of like tie certain things up. But it is very confusing and it's hard to follow. We have to see, there was a lot made of the whole revival day and Blaine seeing the golden light and not, him obsessed with the idea that these are the gates to hell. Nothing good is going to happen to M given the fact that they have her, and Blaine's goal is to destroy her, and he even calls her Mother of Babylon when he finally confronts her. It's not going to go well. And I do think that it's interesting that they have him as a true believer and Ibrahim's a man of science, but they do have him looking through the Quran and, kind of even making fun of himself for doing so.
Hmm.
but so I'm feeling like that's going to be a big something at the end of this.
Yeah.
They haven't quite gotten there, but
I
I'm sure.
feel like we also get the reveal that Lester is the ultimate big bad. He's the one with deep pockets. We know he has money.
Yeah.
He calls the cops and is like, "Oh, there's men with guns out here." But
And
then
it
he's
felt,
clearly standing in the open with people in the background behind him. I'm like, "Oh, you're
yeah.
just trying to get them to show up for some kind of
And
showdown." Like,
so baity. It's so like he's so baiting them, and it's like, I don't know, this feels a little too convenient. And
I kind of like the way the show is doing this. They're letting us know that that's who he is. I mean, because
yeah,
if it's not Blaine, and that makes sense,
yep. It's
who
gotta
does
be.
have money? They've already established in the pilot that this guy has a lot of money,
Well,
right?
and also he was showing up in a weird spot, like the
Yep.
whole thing with the horse. It was like,
Yep.
I don't know, it just felt weird. So I'm not shocked that it's him, but it is kind of funny that he's like they're being very deliberate in showing that in
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Like, the big reveal was about the affair, not about the fact that Lester's the big bad. So that's kind of funny. But I think, see this all wrapped up in the next episode.
Indeed,
So
we will. And I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna be able to do a second season of this, but we'll see. If they do, I don't know that it's reanimated material.
tell us how you really feel, Stuart.
It's
Um,
just, there's actual zombie stuff out there we could talk about.
yeah, indeed. So anyway, very curious what our listeners think about this show, if they've been watching it right along with us. If you have thoughts, send us them to reanimated podcast at gmail.com. And we will wrap this bad boy up next week. Anything else, Stuart?
That's about all I got. But thank you for listening. Holler at us on at email, and you can find the rest of our episodes on Podbean at reanimated.podbean.com.
And thanks again for listening. Bye.
Toodles.